Hello. Oh, can I add myself in? I think no, I'm already in. Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. I am just about to get started. I've got Danielle Wicks behind the scenes helping out today. And so, Danielle, you can also add yourself in and I can solo myself out. And then we could just like chit chat and I don't know, have some fun and talk about things, all things TGBE and SilverSilk. And I enjoyed your Seed Bead Saturday. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you.
So y'all give Danielle some love, and she's so kind to help out with link posting and sharing and all that good stuff today. I'm gonna remove this banner, and you're gonna see both of us for a second. Hello, hello. And then just me. But we've got a packed show today, you guys, and I guess like I just wanted to kind of jumpstart in. We've got 5 demos to get through, and I pre-planned as much as I could to get stuff rolling. All of it's going to come from the amazing Rustic Charm Bundle. So I was going to show off the bundle first, real quick, and show you guys the contents in there. And then, believe it or not, I was able to sort of. Danielle inspired me. She was like, I asked her if I should have a materials list for everything, and she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Okay, let me get to work." So while I did it quickly, there might be some errors along the way. So please just give me a little bit of grace on that. But we'll try and take care of your questions that you guys might have along the way. And we'll just keep the fun going. All right. So I'm going to flip my camera around and we're just going to dive right in to Rustic Charm. Again, people are still like kind of settling in. I know it's been a long journey to get to my class from TGBE. So I appreciate you guys for being here and for always supporting each of our businesses. This is an incredible free event that all of us put on, and it is hurting a lot of cats and moving all the parts and pieces around to get stuff, you know, as good of a show as we can give you. And everyone's done an incredible job, and I am I guess the tail end of the Today Show, but there's going to be a whole lot of stuff happening tomorrow as well. And so, all to say, I hope that this will not disappoint you because it is again just going to be a completely back-to-back episode of demos. Yay! Melanie says she just ordered her kit this morning. That's awesome, Melanie. And one of my top supporters for SilverSilk since I've had it. So I appreciate you so much, Melanie. Nancy says, and the elegant new beads in your pop-up shop. Yeah, I'm hoping I have enough time at the end to show those off even more because it's such a great little collection I did this time of the pop-up shop. Yeah, so keep the comments coming. I'll promise I'll do my best to flash you guys. I didn't mean that the way it sounded, but you know what I mean, to flash your comments. See, we're already off to a great start. Thank you guys. Thanks, Kelly. Wow, Brooke is new to SilverSilk. Welcome to the dark side, girlfriend. This is going to be quite the show for you. We're going through a lot of beginner level projects, in fact, and so I think this is going to be a great gateway in to the land of SilverSilk and what it's all about. Now, many of you don't know what actually the business is, so it's more than beads, of course. SilverSilk is a knitted wire jewelry chain. It is made on a machine that I own, and I actually stitch it myself. And so the machine requires 6 sets of calibrations, and I've got 7 different lines. So each different line type is a different type of calibration. So it truly is tuning an instrument, let's just say. Like, I never really learned to play instruments because I was not that talented, but I didn't know later in my life I'd be tuning a knitting wire machine, but you know what I mean. This one is the knitted leather cord, and it is a cord that is just phenomenal to use. It's very sturdy. It's got great shape to it. It's great to see bead around, as Danielle knows. and makes a great necklace chain just for pendants and easy stuff. I'm gonna be using it in a variety of different projects today, but you get a full 3-foot spool of it to play around with. As you can see, there's a leather core, and then it takes 6 needles to make this texture around it with a single strand of 32 gauge wire that's dark red. So it's phenomenal. It's very, very supple and elegant. You can cut it, it doesn't fray. So that's another little fun tidbit. And again, you get a nice little like spool here to work with, and I'll show you guys some projects here shortly. Rustic Charm is the theme. This is the color palette that I sort of pulled out from it. Believe it or not, I came up with the card first because I was like, I wanted to go into this rabbit hole of themes and then find all the beads. And if there's a dog barking in the back, it's not mine, it's the neighbor. So I apologize for that. And so I have many themes planned for 2026 coming your way. And this is like just a fun little inspo pack. All right, next up on the list. In fact, you do get a list of things within the bundle and the value that it's worth as well. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just finish up the SilverSilk items and then I'll get into the beads. You also get a pair of single strand end caps. These end caps have little teeth inside, and so all you do is you feed the end of your knitted wire through the channel, and you use wide nose pliers, which I'll demonstrate, to crimp the ends. So you don't need any glue, and you don't necessarily need any special tools, but if you've got a pair of chain nose pliers, just use the wide end. I'll show you guys. But otherwise, you could just like attach stuff, your clasp, jump rings, baubles, whatever you want to the ends to wrap it up. So those are the two big SilverSilk things. And then the rest are just sort of bead inspo and component things. So here we've got some Red Creek Jasper smooth rondelles. I absolutely love these. They look like painted fall colors to me. So how could I not have this in this bundle? We've got some buttons. Let's see, what are these? These are the multicolor luster 2-hole check glass buttons. I love these, and it was inspiration at first sight because I knew exactly what I was going to do with them. And I can't wait to show you. Well, it's in the inspo pick as well because I used it as part of the clasp. And if you guys know me, clasps and me, well, I don't always prepare ahead of time on those. And so it was kind of funny and ironic that I included these as part of the bundle just to be able to make them. So I'm excited about that. There's a seed bead mix that you get. They're not all the same. Each seed bead mix is a scoop. So sometimes you're going to get stuff that I might show and you might not get everything, but I tried to make the projects as versatile as possible just because the count of the seed beads, since it is a scoop, is going to be a little bit different. Okay, you get some, these are the, where are these? Oh, here we are. I was like, I can't find them because I know I see them. The smooth matte orange and yellow travertine coin beads. Get 5 of those. Aren't those gorgeous? Now that definitely is a compliment to the Red Creek Jasper. Some bicones in purple luster. These are like chonkers too. They're pretty big. But they're great as like spacers or just, even a focal piece or bumper beads for bracelets and stuff. I really like those. You get a full strand too. I mean, this is quite a bit. This is like more than a bracelet length. Okay, and then you get some hematite spacers. You get some fall leaves and travertine gorge, right? Delicious. You get some, these are the vintage resin in tortoiseshell in different sizes too. You get 5 of them. Look at that. And I'm going to make some earrings with them, in fact, here shortly. And then finally, you get some fire agate round oval beads. Kind of matches the palette, right? And then finally, you get some 1 millimeter. This might be 1.5, but I think it's closer to 1. faceted round gemstones, which these really do resemble size 11 seed beads, but the hole is going to be small. So I'm going to show you a tip on how to string these the fast way. All right. So that's sort of the bundle in a nutshell. I mean, quite a bit of components to work with, but like, what do we do with it? So let's create our first project. And make sure you have your beverage on the ready. I've got a tall glass of coffee because I do have to motor mouth today to get through all of these demos. Danielle, I feel like we need a magic word, so I just take a hit of coffee every time I say it.
We'll think of one in the chat.
Yeah, you guys need to give me, like, if I start saying something on repeat, that's what it's gonna be. Okay, time to flash some fun comments. Patty is here, and we got Liz. Hi, Liz. Teresa, our sweet Teresa from the Silkies group, is here. Jennifer says, love the colors in those seed beads. Aren't they fun? It's so fabulous. Okay, so we're going to make this earring. And in fact, I'm going to do this as a formal piece of like, this is what we're making. This is what we're making today. Well, along with a bunch of other things. Woohoo! And so I have got a materials list all ready for you guys. All right, we're going to need some tools, right? And I'd mentioned this earlier. So flush cutters, which are going to be used for cutting wire. Grab a pair. Unless I put it somewhere. Did I put it somewhere? Should be here somewhere. Ah, it was buried underneath some other tools. All right, so I got my flush cutters, wide nose pliers, and I really adore these for crimping my SilverSilk findings. You could see that they're raw, but because of the wide nose, they actually don't create any indents or anything in the metal, which I'll again demonstrate. And then some nylon jaw pliers, which look like this, going to be used for straightening out the craft wire that I'll mention here shortly. Otherwise, you just need a pair of double strand end caps. These did not come in the actual bundle, but you can grab it from silversilkonline.com. They have 2 channels instead of 1. So this is going to be great for creating that loop of that earring. Easy peasy, right? You'll also need a couple of 9mm jump rings, which look like this. This is going to be used for connecting our tortoiseshell resin ring to the actual form of the earring. And you'll also need some earring wires, which I've got setting out here. There we go. Okay. Those also came from SilverSilk. I will also add that all of the plating that is done to my findings, all the way from the end caps to the earring wires, is all consistently the same. So you're going to see a very specific tone of metal throughout my findings because they're all consistent. All right, and then you've got some 26 gauge wire. You need 2 15-inch links, meaning one per earring. So I've got that. And this is from Soft Flex Company, by the way. I do enjoy their craft wire. We have got then a couple of the 18mm resin rings that you can grab from the bundle. And then you've got 2.5 inches of this knitted leather cord. Now, I will say that 3-foot length that I showed you in the bundle is going to be used for all 3 projects. And so you just have to kind of cut it down into various lengths that I will let you guys know as we progress along in our projects. But that one 3-foot spool is going to work for all 3 projects, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that that was going to happen, but I was very surprised and happy that that did. And then you just need some seed beads. So the configuration of this is something that I am going to walk you through. But you might have to make some slight substitutions along the way, just depending on what your mix looks like. So, you know, whether it be switching these 2 larger ones out or these 2 turquoise ones, again, just kind of dig through your mix. And the best advice that I can give you is to set 4 of each color aside. And then, you know, see the graduated pattern, because we're doing really big ones in the middle, and then we're working out to smaller size seed beads as it sort of progresses up into the earring. And then we've got our little drop at the very middle. So to do this, you're just going to grab the midpoint of your 15-inch length craft wire. I'm going to move my tools to the side so that I don't slam them with my fingers, because I've done that before. And what you're going to do is string up your leaf pendant first and kind of line up your resin ring right toward the midpoint of where that, well, the center of everything, really. The center of your wire, the center of the bead, it should all just kind of be secured there with your fingers. And then I'm going to string my largest seed bead that I can find of my mix onto the right side. And I'm going to go up through the ring. And it's wire, right? So it's going to be a little bit bendy. You might get some kinks along the way, but don't worry. That's where you use your your nylon jaw pliers, and you just give it a good run through to straighten it back out, just as if it were string. Then you're going to go back down through the seed bead again. Okay, and this is going to start to secure and hold your seed bead in place. And I'm going to flip the whole thing around, and I'm going to do that again. So find your largest seed bead and string it on, and then go up through the resin ring, and then down through the bead again. Okay, and then at this point, if you just pull the wire, it's actually going to tighten everything up, and you've already got your center part of your earring created. So now it's just a matter of working it outward, right? So the next one would be in your configuration. And again, take a bead mat and lay your beads out first, because that's what I did to get this pattern configuration. Because I knew I needed 4 seed beads that were going to line up right up against each other, but I also needed 2 here and here that's going to kind of just fit in that space. And so what I discovered was that the size did graduate, which was a happy little like addition to this. So I'll just need my yellow seed bead, and then I'll need a turquoise one. Okay. And I'm going to string up through the resin ring and then down through the turquoise. All right. And you can either do one side and finish it up, or you could just kind of keep switching and do the exact same thing, which I think that's just easier for my brain today. So that's that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So I'm going to go up after I've strung those same beads on, and then down through the turquoise colored bead. Okay, give it a nice tight pull. You see how fast that's stitching up? Isn't that insanely fun? Hello, everyone that's tuning in. It's so nice to see your comments come through. Okay, so now I just need a smaller bead. So what I used here were my rondelles from that strand of my Red Creek Jasper. And that seemed to make a nice little extra natural pop there, color and size. So you can absolutely use those as part of your projects here and kind of mix everything up together. Okay, flip it around. And I'm going to grab that other dark one. And then my seed bead again. Now, these are seed beads that I can totally get behind. And you're probably wondering why compared to all the other gorgeous seed beads in the world. But it's because I can actually see them. No, I could see the other seed beads too. These just don't take as much effort on my poor little eyes. And they're fun to sew with wire, I would say. Isn't that cool? All right. So the last part is to grab your little rondelle from the Red Creek Jasper, and you're going to go up through your resin ring. But this time, instead of going back down through a bead, I'm going to just go through the loop by itself. Okay, and that's sort of going to just pull everything nice and tight together there at the end before I start to coil it. So let me show you that one more time on this side. Grab your bead. Go up through the resin ring. Okay, ignore the bead, but go through the loop that you just made with the wire. And just kind of pull on it, maybe even like wiggle it a little bit, and you'll start to see it tighten up. And if that doesn't work, which this one is not as tight as I want, whoops, I need my chain nose pliers. There we go. You can absolutely get the assistance of your pliers to help out. Just be gentle. But it looks like I've got a kink there, so actually I'm going to take this out and just repair it real quick. And then do that again, because like that little bend in the wire is just not going to be friendly for tightening. And if you overwork the wire, it does have a tendency to break on you. So just keep that in mind as you work with this too. All right, here we go. Okay, so the last step is just to go ahead and go through and coil this a few times to get it secured. So I probably would do this about 4 times. I think I did it 3 or 4 times on that example piece there below. And just to get it tightened together, just push it down with your fingernail. Nice and simple. Okay, and I want to make sure that when I cut this, it's going to land on the inside of my ring. So what I would do is pull this all over, grab your flush cutters, and come in at a slight angle and just clip it off there so that you're more toward the center part of it. And all you're going to do is grab your chain nose pliers and then just sort of loosely rotate on that resin ring. And it's virtually hidden. Okay, let's do that again with this side. Again, just coil on the opposite direction that your wire is going, because if you coil this way, you're not going to get anywhere. So in this case, because the wire is coming towards this direction, I'm going to just coil from there. Oh, Julie says it's beautiful. Love the design. Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate that. I'm in love with these earrings. They're just so, I don't know, vibrant and sassy. Can I use sassy here? I think they're sassy. Okay, again, when you get to that center part, cut at a slight angle. Use your chain nose pliers to rotate just loosely, because all you're doing is just wanting to form that around the resin ring. And you see that the end of the wire is actually tucked inside of the ring, so it's not gonna conflict with anything. And then now it's time to put together the rest of the earring. So just grab the ends of your SilverSilk. Mine are a little bit marred, so embarrassing. So I'm gonna just trim a little bit of that off. Okay, and I had mentioned before that this doesn't fray or anything like that, so that's kind of the fun part of it. And then you just push in your finding, grab your wide nose pliers, and if you don't have a pair of these and you just got some chain nose pliers, use the very wide part of your chain nose pliers and really go into them. And then just give it a good squish. Okay, there we go. And what I do is I just sort of, whoops, fluff up the end by pushing it up so it makes it rounder. And then all you do is just attach your findings. So here we go. We got a large jump ring that's going to go from SilverSilk to resin ring. And I think I need another handy chain nose plier here to push that in. And finally, our earring wire, which I can never get this right. So I'm going to see if okay, I did. I got it right that time. So now I've got a beautiful pair of fall-inspired silver silk earrings that I made for you guys on the fly. How do you like that? So why don't we talk about our next project? Okay, the Rustic Charm necklace. Let me get myself reset here, and we are going to just go right into it. Right, had to dump out my little wire tidbits there. I don't want to give away all my dirty little secrets that are everything that's on my table.
You're getting lots of love in the chat for your beautiful earrings.
Oh, thank you guys. So fun. All right, our necklace. Let's get to it. And also going to turn on a fan, I think, because all of this motor mouthing is getting me worked up, and I need to cool down here. Who's got a bevy with them? Did anyone call it a happy hour early? Just curious to know. All right, there we go. Much more comfortable now. All righty. So we're going to need some tools. And as you can see, it's kind of the same list as before, but I just added on a couple extras. So this would be a pair of round nose pliers, which of course look like this. And then you'll also need some magical crimpers, which look like this. Some of you are scared by this tool. I know, I get it. Trust me, I was there. But we're going to just break this down nice and easy. You don't have to use these. It's totally optional for this design. It's not going to make it or break it, so don't worry. You can use traditional crimpers, or you could even just use chain nose pliers to flatten the crimp. No big deal. This is all just like, you know, we're just going to feel it out and see what works. That's all we care about today. Catherine might be right. Isn't every hour a happy hour? It certainly is in the land of SilverSilk. Happy is up for interpretation. There's many different happies that we can all, you know, agree with. But regardless, it's a good time. Oh, Liz is drinking hot tea. That sounds good too, as opposed to coffee. Either coffee or hot tea is like my mood right now. It was chilly. We had a lot of rain this morning here in Oklahoma. It's now sunny, which is great. All right, so we'll need two single strand end caps, which look like this. You guys saw that from the bundle already. And I went ahead and crimped one side. And I was going to show you guys how to crimp the other as we're talking about these. Now, these are plated 6 times. And so it really does become tarnish resistant. It doesn't mean it's tarnish proof, but it sure will last a long time. The inner core metal is brass. And if you guys know me, I am like nuts about brass. I've just delved more and more deep into brass, and there's nothing I hate about it. I think I even have like brass fixtures and brass like home decor. There's a brass lion that sits in my house that's, you know, sort of a wall decor. But anyway, I'll get off that topic. All to say, my findings are pretty exceptional. They also have that SilverSilk imprint on the top, which is amazing. And the little teeth inside. I mean, come on. Like, the fact that you don't really need much to make these work, it is just great. Okay, so just squish it. Use the wide part of your pliers, of course. Make sure that the seam is completely closed. That is really the trick. You might have a little bit of wire sticking out there, but just use your cutters. Like, big deal, you know. It's not gonna, definitely not gonna kill the project or anything. Just get in as close as you can and nip it off. So other than that, we already crimped it, so that's great. It's like step 1. 2 size 6mm jump rings. Got those here. I'm trying to, yeah, I remember what they're for. Okay, because we're going to use one for the clasp, believe it or not, and then one is going to be for the pendant, which, speaking of, is right here. We sort of talked about the leather cord already, so I'm just going to skip over that. But you'll need 18 inches of it, or you can make the necklace longer. Of course, you can use 20 inches, 30 inches, whatever your flavor is. I just did 18 because that just was my count that I had left for this project. Outside of the tiger's eye pendant, you will also need a 2-inch head pin, 2.5-inch head pin. I went ahead and made a wire wrap loop. It's sort of a fundamental technique, right? Making a wire wrap loop, but we've all like screwed it up at some point in time, and I still do to this day. But I did record a video on my YouTube channel that you guys should subscribe to. For those of you that are on YouTube have already found me, hopefully. But my channel is SilverSilk and More. I think Danielle, if you don't mind giving a quick post, I can see you're working on it already, though. That would be amazing if you guys could subscribe and tune into our. In fact, Danielle and I have a show together every Sunday, but I'll talk about that later. But all to say, I do have a video recorded for how to make wire wrap loops efficiently. So you guys can look to that if you want to. What else? We got our Red Creek Jasper rondelles. You'll need about 13 to 15, just depending on the size of the loop that you want to make. And of course, that check hole button that I'm obsessed over. And then you'll need some of those one and a half, either 1 or 1.5. I don't know. I should have measured it, I guess. Faceted round gemstone beads, which are right here. I pre-strung them because I'm not going to be able to see the hole like on the spot. I could see it if I'm not on camera, but you know, when I get on camera, I get a little nervous and then I just don't see things. So I pre-strung it. And then you'll need 6 inches of Soft Flex Beading Wire. I've got that here in garnet. And then they're crimps, the 2mm crimps. I got a couple of those. So this thing connects together so quickly that it's just going to be fabulous. But really, like, the focus of this design is the clasp. That is the cool point of all of this. And so to make the clasp is going to be really, really fun. We're going to start with our check glass button first. Okay, so grab that and grab your knitted, your bead stringing wire, excuse me. And you're going to also need some of these tiny little baby beads, the small gemstones. So string up through your button with your Soft Flex. Grab 4 of those little gemstones. Now you can use size 11 seed beads if you want to. They're about equivalent in size, as you can see. The trick is really just like we're gonna just fill up that space in between. So it'll kind of look like a little seed pod, essentially, or you know, something fun and naturey. And you're just gonna push that through so that kind of fills it up all nicely. Look how pretty that looks, though, right? It's just like it looks complete, which is the thing that I really love about it. And so I'm gonna flip this whole thing around and I'm going to string 1 stone on each of these. Now, please pray for me here that I finally, there we go. Okay. Whew. You have no idea how much pressure this is, you guys. Okay, I have to do it again. Oh my gosh, there we go. Okay. Maybe it helped that I had the hole lined to begin with. Now, I can't remember if I used 1 or 2. I think 1 is going to be enough to kind of fill in the gap. You can do 2 if you want to. I might as well. I think I have enough here to do that. So let me do 2 on each side. Oh, here we go again. Whoop. Down. And there we go. All right. Whew. Did I make it? Did I make it? It did. All right. Yay! You guys are thinking good thoughts about this project, I can tell. I'm going to string on a crimp next. Now here is really probably the tricky part because what you got to do is crisscross your wires, but this kicks it up a notch and it's about to get a little crazy because what I'm going to do is actually loop it back through the same crimp to make a smaller loop inside. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's a little nuts, but the trick here is that I actually want to connect it directly to my finding. So just kind of push those wires down, get them out of the way. I will say the copper crimp tends to be the thick-walled one, and so that one's the one that's a little bit, like, naughty at times, but let's see. I think I'm gonna connect my loop directly to the crimp, and I'm gonna have this more flexy. So never mind, this won't get connected. This will be connected to a jump ring. So technically, we can connect our jump ring to it if you wish, and then string it through. Ah, okay, I can do this. I just need to make sure that I can get enough space to do this. Also, cutting my bead wire in an angle probably would have helped. Because I can kind of feel it going through. Let's try that. There we go. Pliers are amazing for that. All right. So once you get to that step, it's kind of just a matter of pushing and pulling everything together nice and tight. I know. How complicated was that? I did it! Zakaya says I did. I did do it. I'm so excited. But look how pretty that looks, right? It just kind of looks decorative. It looks finished. Nancy says, okay, I'm looking at the hardware store flyers and they have a large skeleton on sale for Halloween. No, Nancy, buy beads decorations. You know, it's your flavor. If this is a holiday that you appreciate celebrating, you only have one life to live. And I say, girlfriend, go get some Halloween decorations, and then when kids are trick or treating, you can do some beading at the same time as passing out candy, right? If I weren't such a grumpus, I would do that. But the thing is, I think I'm gonna be at my friend's Halloween funtivities, and so my house is usually the dark one on the corner because I'm never home. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna leave like I don't know, maybe like a 4 mm loop, and I'm just gonna go in because I won't be able to use magical crimpers on this, believe it or not. It is going to be virtually impossible, and I have tried it. Trust me. So what I do is I would just create a nice square squish because it still looks really good, but it is secure. And after you've done that, just go in and trim all this off. And how efficient of a button did we just make that to be? Isn't that awesome? So now we have to make the loop that it goes through. Okay, and we can use that same piece of stringing wire. And then this will connect to here, and then that loop will connect to this. So kind of the same thing here. We're just going to string on a crimp. Actually, no, I'm going to string on my rondelles first. And again, I think I'm using 13. So string those on one at a time as I sing this. Okay, I'm hoping that my hand doesn't move because I really don't have it secured on the other side. There we go. All right. And then I've got one little baby gemstone on each side. Now, why I did that is because whenever I put it through the crimp, it did have a little bit of wire showing, and I didn't want my wire to completely be exposed. And so small baby gemstone was just big enough to hide it. And I will say that wire is a bit too wide, so I'm just going to trim that off and then string it through. And now I can string on my crimp. And I did measure, I think 13 was the magic number that really made sense for the size of the clasp that it's sort of making here. And I believe that was my rationale. But you can always check it, right? So I've got that sort of strung on. And all I do is just make sure that this thing will fit in. And if it's too small or if it's like giving me issues, see, I think that'll fit. Just had it angled incorrectly, but I think that'll work. All right, so before I do anything else, I want to connect my pendant to the loop directly. Now that's really where the kicker of this whole thing is, because I did it after the fact, knowing like later on what connections I needed to make, and then I realized like this needed to connect to that. So I'm just going to loosen all this up for a second. And I believe the magic number for me was 4 rondelles or 5. Say 5. And go ahead and connect that to begin with, only because when you tighten this, it is going to like all be secured, and then it's going to be a pain to get that little jump ring in there. You could even just string the jump ring and then, you know, open it up and put your pendant in later. But I figured this way is just much easier. And now all you do is kind of do the same thing as before. You just pick up your single strand end cap with the loop at the top, string it through. Hope that you make it through. Zakaya, I'm needing some happy thoughts here. I think we could do this, though. I think it's really just the copper one that is always a little tight, but I can get it in. I got this. Okay. I felt it all. I felt all of your thoughts and happy things to get this through. Cute little loop there, easy peasy. And then just grab your magical crimpers. Now here is where the trick for me, and everyone has a different experience with this, I get it. But the thing is, if you fill up your crimp tube with as many wires as you can get through, and in this case, we've got, you know, several of them, at least 3 can fit into that pretty easily. So the more you stuff it with, the easier it does form. But you want to make sure that it's completely inside of that first and only notch. And what I do is I just loosely put it in to make sure that it's in there and that there's nothing in the way. And then you press it, and it should look like a little pillow that you put your teeth in if they fall out. Now, once you've done that, you go ahead and put it on its side and just squish it again. And keep doing that. Just kind of move it, squish it, move it around, squish it. And it starts to form a little bead, essentially crimping on in itself. Like, is imploding the right word? I don't, that's probably too violent. But you know, it compresses on itself. Thank you. Okay, that's the word I was searching for. And it secures that the beading wire quite nicely. So all you do at this point is just trim it off any of the extra wire. Now I will say this is where I had an overlap of the wire. If I can get that out, I'd feel better about it. Let me see if I could use a beading awl. Do you guys see what the issue here is? Like, it's going through the loop when it should not be. And because I'm a weirdo perfectionist, my preference would be to have that out, if I can get it out. There we go. Okay, just flipped around to the other side. No big deal. We've got tools to help us. always, and friends. Alrighty. So once that's kind of assembled, then I can assemble my button here on the other end. And you know me, I love an upfront clasp. Like the business and the pleasure is going to be all up front, right? It's what we all like strive for, I think. So then you just kind of push this through. And boom. Isn't that just cute? It's so cute. Everything matches. I absolutely dig this. And it's functional and it's just like fashion statement. It's like almost a double drop within the thing, but it's all concealed because it is a mechanical clasp at the end of the day. So fun. So that is how you make the necklace design, which I'll flash the picture one more time before we move on to our next project, which is our bracelet. Okay, so let me reset the board here real quick. We'll get right into it. I'm telling you guys, this has been a crazy marathon of projects. Got to take another drink of coffee here. You guys take a sip of your tea or whatever you've got. Refreshing. And let's talk about what materials we will need. Now, this one is kind of a combination of the other things, the other principles we've learned from our designs. So, again, nothing new tools-wise. Just need some flush cutters, so wide nose pliers, of course, for our findings. And then you've got nylon jaw pliers in case we need to straighten out our wire. And magical crimpers because we just learned how to use them and they're so much fun, right? Okay, maybe I haven't convinced all of you yet to use these, but practice makes perfect. All right, so outside of that, we will also need some more single strand end caps. So I'm just going to have those set aside. We'll need some more of our leather knitted cord. This is like the last of what I've got left from that full 3-foot spool. Perfect for a bracelet size, of course. A couple jump rings. Well, you really just need one jump ring, which is going to be used for the clasp. And I already pre-made one of my buttons. Well, the only one button I'll be using. And so we can make the loop one more time together. And then, you know, we're going to be using the same rondelles for making that loop again. So I'm just going to have those set aside. What else? We will need, our entire gemstone strand. Whoop. Here we go. We're going to be using pretty much all of it. And so I'm going to show you guys here in a second how to string this onto wire the easy way, because you do need some 26 gauge copper wire. And of course, I'm using Soft Flex. And I think I mentioned a size on there, I hope, unless I just forgot to list it, because I don't really see it on there. But you do. Of course you don't, because that was my error. But you do need about 15 or so inches of this. And I recommend not cutting it off the spool. I would work off the spool until you get this project made. And then you can kind of snip it off wherever you see fit. But better to be safe than sorry. And I think working from the spool is going to be the easiest thing to do. And then you'll need some bumper beads. Now, you may or may not have these exact beads in your seed bead scoop. So if you don't, you can always go to the pop-up shop and grab some bead bumpers, which work perfect for this project. These are stainless steel, so they're not going to tarnish necessarily, but they will be wearer friendly, of course. They've got a little silicone on the inside to grip the chain. And I've got some really fun other things that I've used these for that I'm excited to show you here shortly, but you'll need some of those. Well, 2 really. But otherwise, let's make our loop real quick first, because we just learned how to do that. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab a little bit of my garnet beading wire. Okay, same thing as before. I could have pre-made this ahead of time, but really, like, Where's the fun in that, right? And if I'm not answering your questions, I'm so sorry. I'm just now looking at the questions now. CC Creations, and I believe I knew your name before, but remind me one more time, because I've seen your beautiful face pop into our lives before. Does the bundle include all this projects? And the answer is sort of, because some of the projects I use more materials on, and so if you're wanting to make all 3 projects, I think you can get away with just using the one bundle, and then buying some extra findings, of course, because not all of the findings are included. But for example, that small gemstone strand, the one here, we'll be using most of it for this particular bracelet. And so you might not have the extras to use for the clasp, for example. But really, the idea for this is that you can get 3 different ideas to produce with your bundle and then, put your own spin on it from there. Oh, you know what I forgot is to do a little baby gemstone. Now, you could always set out some gemstones, these like mini ones, or use seed beads instead, and that would give you a lot of mileage. Or just, have it set out to use for these little side pieces and stuff. That way you don't end up using them all for the one project, and you've got some extra set out to the side for other things. Okay, just tighten that up and string it through your clasp and come back up through. Oh gosh, here we go again. I can do this. I can do this. Can I do it? I do it efficiently.
You got this.
Thank you. Danielle's voice ringing in my ear is always like makes me feel confident, That's what it was. Danielle, thank you. I needed that. Okay, got it through. And we're gonna do this again, you guys. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. All right, so just put it in. Okay, give it a good squish. Just make sure that I'm not hitting my gemstones. For being small, they're somewhat fragile, which is kind of like a bummer. But you never know until you actually tried it out and see how it works. But it'll be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Righty, there we go. Looks like my wires are facing the correct direction to snip off. So grab your cutters and trim away. All spare wires, perfecto. And I've got part of my clasp now finished. Now I could go ahead and connect the other side if I really want to get a head start here. Oh, it's hard to see the seam because that's how well made they are. Okay, remember just as before, like nothing new. We just learned how to do that. So I've got my clasp pretty much made, and now I just got to get my gemstone strand all strung up. So let me get on camera first. So you can string this one, gemstone at a time, but that's not fun nor efficient. So here is my suggestion for all of this is to grab your wire because we are going to work off the spool, right? Zakai says, I'm the boss of my crimp. I love that. It is so encouraging to hear that. Thank you, Zakaya. Sometimes we just need a little push from our friends, right? Okay. Now, lucky for us, there's 2 strands of thread in here. So what I'm going to do is actually hold one and pull the other out. Because that's going to give me just enough room to do some like one-to-one beading here. So I'm just going to line up my wire and my thread, and I'm just going to pass it directly from my thread to the wire. So a transference of, wait, I can't do this. There we go. I have to look at it in my workspace. But essentially just transferring the stones from one medium of stringing to the other. And this will take you all of like 5 seconds to do. Now, I'm not going to do all of them because I already have it pre-strung, but you guys get the idea. Like, how easy is that? Just to like line it up and string it. There is no way that my eyeballs are going to be able to see every single hole, but I sure can make it work this way. Easy peasy, right? Patty Perkins says, "What a great tip." I absolutely dig that little like discovery, I guess, of finding trips ticks. What am I trying to say? Tips and tricks of efficient beading. So, anyway, just transfer all of your little gemstones from the string onto the wire. Pull out as much wire as you need to as you go along there. And eventually you will have what looks like, I'll put this off to the side, something that looks like this, all strung up. Oh, Debbie, you were so welcome. I'm so glad that that tips helped. All right. I have it sort of like mapped out here where I need to do a little bit of wire wrapping, but if you need to, of course, don't hesitate to grab your nylon chop pliers and give it a good like push there. And find the like 1/3 spot of your bracelet. So it's going to be about right here and right here. And I will say you can sort of manipulate this to move a little bit after the fact of doing this, but it, try and measure out as much as you can ahead of time to mitigate any sort of minor errors. I would say probably about right there, which it's going to hit here and here. So maybe I'm a little bit off, but just scooch that down a little bit. Probably right there is good. And at this point, I just coiled it around, like nothing dramatic or anything there. And you're just going to kind of scooch these up and allow it to coil as it pleases, because it's going to require some space within the wire to coil efficiently. But otherwise, it is going to coil up quite nicely. Now, you could even do smaller wraps to do like floaty beads with this. Doesn't have to be necessarily a center piece for a bracelet or anything, but I mean, does that not look like a cheater's guide to beading? It looks like an intricately woven thing, but it's, whatever shortcut Nile will take, will take. So, oh, hey, Vaughn. That's okay. I am so sorry to hear that, but yeah, I feel your pain, sister. Like I've been sick too, not too long ago, and it, put me in bed for about a few days, I guess. It was awful, but I'm glad you could join in. Hopefully you're in a cozy spot and just kind of like tuning in and out when you can. Luckily, all of this can be replayed for your pleasure later. Okay, I am just spinning it around. I think I'm reaching to a point to where it's getting a little tight on my wire, so I'm just gonna knock a few of this out here at the end. Oops. There we go. Take some of those out. I'm gonna need a bit of wire here at the end to coil around, but otherwise I think we're in good shape. Okay, so with that last bit of wire, do the same thing, just coil it in. And I like to go maybe a few, like, I don't know, about 3 wraps. 4 should be like good enough. Because what I'm going to recommend is that with your bumper, you can slide it up next to your wrapped area, but I would probably glue it in place. Ooh, Robin says I have a few brass bangles that I was going to do something with, something like this with, and loving this idea. That's awesome. Sounds like a really fun idea too with bangles. Now, I'm a little bit off with my measurement here, but that's okay. I was totally expecting that. I'm just going to trim it down because my bracelet's a little bit big anyways. The clasp adds on an extra inch. Just don't forget that. And if you need to, you can always add on some extra beads or something at the ends before putting the clasp in. But in this case, I guess I have it directly attached to the end caps. But I think measurement-wise, it should be fine for, a typical 7-inch wrist. So don't forget to put your bumper beads on. So I'll show you what each one looks like. This is the one with the yellow seed bead. Of course, we kind of saw that in the picture already. Pretty cool, right? Just kind of goes with the color palette. And then the other one kind of just bumps up there. You could even make that coil smaller so that this really bumps up right into it, and then just sort of glue it onto the end. Just glue it into the knitted wire if you want to. It's really not moving though, so I'm kind of surprised. But two different looks, pretty cool. I think for this one, I'm going to go for the yellow since I've got it on hand. And I'll glue that in later. I would just use some Loctite super glue. Nothing too fancy. And then, yeah, just put on your end caps. Give it a good squish. Okay. Make sure they're kind of facing the same direction. As far as like the logos are face up, the seams are on the side, that sort of a thing. Consistency is important for final looks. And boom, you have got a bracelet. Now, I was worried about the length of that, but you could see that it ended up being perfect. Like that is a pretty stellar size bracelet. And again, just going back and putting some glue in there and then just closing it up will seal the deal. So fun. So what do you guys think of it? I will flash that photo one more time, and then we're going to get into another demo. It's Demo City up in here. Danielle, we're still doing okay?
Yeah, do you have a second for a question? There was something I wasn't totally sure on. The
Absolutely.
color of chain, leather knitted chain you were using in the kit, is it available in the shop if they want more?
No, it isn't. It was an exclusive.
Do you think cinnamon would be a close match?
I think. Wait, what color did you say?
Cinnamon looks close to me.
Oh yeah. Let me show
I'm
that.
gonna pop a link to cinnamon here for you guys.
Cinnamon. I would do that one, or I would do. Well, this purple might get out of hand actually. So yeah, here's cinnamon. It's got a slightly reddish tone to it, but otherwise a really good fall color.
Oh, it's pretty.
Isn't it? Now I kind of want to make them in all the options. We don't have time for that, but you guys know, And then check out this purple. I think the purple would be really cute too.
Oh yeah, let me drop a link for that.
Like the cinnamon and purple, and oh my gosh, what are we doing here, you guys? I don't know.
Is that the metallic berry that you held up there?
These, huh?
Oh, metallic berry looks like.
Yeah, metallic berry.
There we go.
I know. Maybe I should make this red one again, like in full scope. I do have I have a cardinal one, which is red, and not so much like a magenta. I don't know what.
Like a tourmaline to me. I feel a tourmaline there.
Do love a tourmaline. Okay. So, but in any case, the bundles have exclusive fun things in it, and I would advise checking those out. Do we want to talk about, what do we want to talk about next? I want to talk about some kits, is what I want to talk about, because I have got something extra special for you guys. And that is my loom kits that are now including a loom. So if you hop over to the SilverSilk kits part of the website, you'll see some pretty cool little bracelets that look like this. And these are sort of my like new to SilverSilk, but want a really fun and easy project. And I put together these little kits. This is using a loom, and it's a very easy like leather stitch that you do from one side to the other. And it includes the findings and it includes the clasp, because kits and bundles for me are different. Bundles are inspiration packs that don't include all the supplies that you need to finish a project. Kits include exact supplies that you need to finish a project. And included now is not only just the components that you need, but you also get the loom. And this is like, I'm going to send you one of these, Danielle, because this is like, just, it makes me cry of how cool this is. So how it works is, I'm going to bring this one over because I've already popped it out. You just pop out these little pieces, and you cannot buy the loom separately. It's unfortunately not a thing. You can only buy it through the kit. But you pop these out, and you could read the instructions, but essentially, you were just moving the little part in there. Can I get this out? There we go. I was like, why is that stuck in there? We remove the pieces by popping them out. This is the time of the show where I have giggles. I don't know what to tell you guys. And then you line A to A, and then you kind of just push it in there, and then you push it to the side to lock it in place. I don't know why I'm giggling. And then you do the same thing for B to B. Put it in there, and then just push it to the side, and it locks it in place. Not permanently, because you can actually unlock it if you want to, and then, pop it out and put it in the thing to go, in case you want to travel with it or something. But yeah, I absolutely dig this. And then it's big enough, the little grooves, for SilverSilk, because it takes inspiration from the original loom that I had. And you can actually stretch a 7-inch band right across. And so I was going to do a quick little demo of the bracelet, just like getting it started, because I don't know, we've got time. I'm the last part of the show. Like, there's no pressure, right?
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so once you have your loom stretched out with the silver, and all you do for that, and it explains it. So if you get this little kit, you do get a free pattern. That's a PDF pattern that you can download and print if you'd like, or you could scan for the video tutorial. They're both included for this whole process. Except for, I haven't made a video on how to pop this out and put it together, but hopefully you guys have walked away thinking this is pretty self-explanatory, because the instructions are also directly on the loom in steps 1, 2, and 3. So I tried to make it as foolproof as possible, but there's always some questions around the corner. But Nilay's got you. We can answer some questions, no big deal. All right, so let's start from the beginning. I'm just going to stretch this piece of SilverSilk out. This is leather chain and gray goose. I think it was inspired by a particular libation at that time that really inspired me to name it Gray Goose, but I digress. So you kind of just stretch it around, leave yourself like a little bit of a loop there at the top. That's going to be just enough to cut and put into your finding. Stretch it back in. Give it like a good push, because you want it to go inside of the wooden groove and hold in place. Okay, and the wood is soft, so it's going to have a little bit of like I don't know if elasticity is the right word, but it can kind of hold it and stretch and expand as it needs to, as opposed to like a metal loom or something. which doesn't really have any forgiveness to it. So you set it up that way. You grab your leather cord. I believe this is 1 millimeter and you get 6 feet of it. And so you find the midpoint of that and set it to the side. So I'm going to unspool it here. Kind of stretch it out. Like I like to kind of just do a little bit of a pull. Nothing, you know, don't be too like rough on it. It is India leather, so it's going to be a little soft. But I absolutely dig the color. And once you find the midpoint, you kind of just keep an eye on it, right? So I'm just going to put it there. But you can also get your beads out. This is large hole beads. So it's going to guarantee a pretty good fit on that leather cord. But you want to make sure that you find a bead right off the bat that's got a gigantic hole to it because we're going to pass the leather cord through it twice. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. Move some things around here. And then, of course, you've got your findings as well in the kit. So grab your leather, string on your bead. Okay, all the way to the middle. Just drop it down. And starting from the underside of the loom, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to push all of this down and then work with my right side first. And I'm going to pass through from right to left. Okay. And then this side, I'm going to pass from left to right. And that's why I was making sure you guys picked out a bead that had the largest hole that you can find, because you only need to do this twice, once in the beginning and once at the end. But otherwise, you're just passing through twice. Okay, so now you just kind of pull everything together. And I want to make sure that my cords are sort of pushed to the back. So go ahead and send to back both cords. You see how that one's on top? I'm just going to let that do its thing on the top side and push it down over the top there. Okay, so it should look something like that. And now you could just take your bead and basically do the same thing. You're just going to string it through and you're going to take that cord to the underside. If you were a Dungeons and Dragons player, you'd say the Underdark, I believe, but we're not playing that. At least not today. All right, so go ahead and take it through to the underside and just pull it all together. And you see how that like wraps around my warps? So basically you just keep doing that over and over and over again. Pick up your next bead, string it through, take it to the Underdark. Okay, same thing on this side. Grab your leather cord, string it through, and take it to the Underdark. And what I want to make sure I'm doing is giving myself enough space. Now, when you complete the entire length of your bracelet, you should end up somewhere around 6 or 7 inches. And the clasp, of course, adds another inch to your final design. Just keep that in mind as you put this together. This, for example, and this is what I'm talking about. This whole piece adds an extra inch to the end. So the loom is big enough to support at least, you know, around a 7-inch, 8-inch wrist pretty easily. And because I think I've got another demo planned, what I can do is show you guys how to put on the ends. Well, no, I don't want to do that. What I think I want to do is show you how to finish the end on the end of the bracelet. So let's put in a couple more beads and pretend like that's the full length of our bracelet. And it's going to be intended for someone that has the size wrist of a mouse. Because I'm going to end it very briefly, but bear with me here. I'm trying to be as thorough as possible while entertaining a very tight deadline of time. Okay, so let's do another one. And you could see how fast it does stitch up. So maybe if I just like stop motor mouthing, I could finish the bracelet up semi quickly. But again, I'm also trying to be diligent about comments and stuff. So bear with me here. All right. So let's say that I've stitched everything as much as I could, right? We'll just cut it off at the camera, pretending like this is like 6 inches up here. And this is the final bead that I've got to work with. Take your time. You can stay all night. I know, but I got to eat something later. Melanie, you know how that goes. Like, nobody wants a grumbly stomached Nile, do they? Oh, thanks, Zakaya. It's very sweet. All right, so for your final bead, you're going to kind of do the same thing as before. String it through, go to the underside. Whoops. Same thing on this one. And instead of tightening everything up, we're going to do an extra step here. So I'm going to leave it loose. Okay, like that. And I'm going to take my right side cord and I'm going to go ahead and string it through one more time. What that does is it provides a cool little hold that's nice and clean while also finishing out my end in a very like fashion forward tassel kind of a way. Because you could see that one side of my warp has, or there's leather cord on either side of my warp there. And as I pull it through, this provides a nice clean finish. And I could tie this in the most like adorable way to give myself a cute little tassel. Hey, you know what? This could make a cute little purse charm now that I think about it. Because like, what if well, I don't know. I think my brain is running with too many ideas and then like it's conflicting now. I'm going to string on a bead to each of these and just do like a little like knot here at the end. Nothing too crazy, you know, just give myself a little bit of like some pizzazz here with tassel realness. I would probably use some leather glue to like secure this. But otherwise, you guys get the idea, right? Just kind of play with this and see what feels good and give yourself a little bit of a decorative edge here. But honestly, like whenever I was developing this project, I could not figure out how I wanted to make the end as clean as I could with the beginning. And so this idea just came to me. And so that's where I got my dual little tassels with each of these. Just adds a little bit of extra something to it, you know? It's a little something. So that is how you finish the end of that bead. And then the rest of it is just where you kind of take it off the loom, you know, kind of cut this. Here, let's get our findings out. What I do is I just compress all that together, give it a good clip, clean up the ends if there's any extra knitted wire up there. Just take it out, put your finding on it. Or in it, I guess, and then use your wide nose pliers to crimp. Yeah, it is a really quick and fun project. I'm surprised I did it this quick. I'm surprised I did it this quickly, actually. But hey, like it worked, you know? So yeah, all you do is just kind of apply your glue, cut off the ends here. And same thing on this side, just clip it. Grab your finding. Make sure that the logo is face side up for both sides. Which it is. And grab your wide nose pliers. Make sure that SilverSilk cord is all the way inside as much as possible. Give it a good press there. And you've got the world's tiniest bracelet if you've ever seen one. Can I even do this? This is ridiculous. But again, this is the abridged version of what I was trying to teach you guys. There we go. This will fit somebody, right? No, Danielle says no.
It could fit. Hey, I have a quick question from Robin's asking, is there a TGBE code?
No, but this does bring up a great point. So Robin, my special for TGBE is that if you spend 50 or over before shipping, I will put in personally a free 3-foot spool of this leather knitted cord. It does not require a code at all. It just requires an order, and I will stick this into your order with lots of kisses and hugs.
And
Isn't that pretty?
One more question for you. The bumper beads that you were using earlier, are those available in the shop?
They are. They're in the pop-up shop.
In the pop-up. Let me grab that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, they start just before the brass beads. Aren't those cute? This is so cute. I want to make it a ring now. Like, it's my loom ring. I'm sorry.
Someone said an American doll one.
Ooh. There's a thought. Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me to make something ridiculous today. But you can reuse this loom to make more bracelets. That's the fun part. And that's really where the kit investment comes through. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to suggest, which I'll get into the gift guide tomorrow, is that this kit's going to be great as like your future stocking stuffer for someone that wants to create something real badly, but has no like actual items packaged for them that they could get into. You know, of course, not needing a loom or anything at this point, but a couple basic tools, as you guys saw, just some chain nose pliers to put on the findings and a pair of cutters can also just work itself into the little stocking stuffing idea for upcoming holidays. And then the other thing I wanted to demonstrate, I don't know how much time I have at this point, but I think I can push it a little longer. It's quick, I promise. And I think it'll help you guys a lot. Is Kumihimo. Maybe that's the word where we need coffee. Who likes Kumihimo? Raise your hand, like in a digital way. Oh. Okay, so this is also a kit that's available as a part of my design kit. And I wanted to show you guys like the basic setup of this and how to put the findings on. You know, pending if we did have time, which I think we do. But grab your disc because it's included into the kit. You get four strands of 3 needle chain. Yeah, let me get some hands going up. And I picked out some fall colors this time around just because I thought it'd be fun. You'll need a little weight. So I just use this little puck from a metal jig that I have. But you could use nail polish, bottles. You could use, what else is weighty that we have? I can't think of anything. I don't know. Something that's weighty and small, basically. And I'm just going to push it through the end up here like that to keep it weighted. And all we're doing is just moving from one side to the other down on the same side. So I'm going to take 32 and 1. So 32 and 1, the space in between. Okay. Bring it down between 14 and 15. So it is going to go on the right-hand side of the bottom wire that it was facing up parallel to. Same thing as this one. So 16, 17 will then go to 30 and 31. What I do, because this is just how it makes it easy for me, is I just rotate the disc. And then I basically just do the same thing all over again. I'm going to take this go to the right side of my bottom chain. And then same thing with this, all the way up. Okay. And after a few of these, you'll start to notice that it's going to braid together. So right to right, left to left. Looks like a hot mess to begin with, but trust me, trust the process. That's all I gotta say. Trust the process. And this is like one of the easier braids to learn because I am not a Kumihimo specialist and I'm a complete klutz. And so, like, trying to look up some pattern ideas on what to do with 3-needle was fun. I mean, this is like one of the easier braids that I've ever had to teach. And I'm going fairly slow, but when you guys get a hang of this, like, it kind of strings up pretty fast. Happy to report. Okay, just go around and around. Soon, you will get to the point to where your chain, and I don't think I'm here long enough to show you guys, but yeah, I would need to braid quite a bit to get it to work. Now, if you've lost your place, just look for the one that's overlapping. Okay, so these wires are overlapping the underside ones, which means that I need to turn it and braid the underside ones. It is. So Jenny says it looks like a very zen process, and it absolutely is. When you're not teaching it and you're not nervous about things like going array, just out of hand, gets to be very therapeutic. I also feel like I'm slightly hypnotizing you guys because I keep rotating the disc, like unintentionally, just sucking you into the dark side of SilverSilk. How many different techniques did we go over today? Like, this must have been technique number 14 or something. Look at that. See, it's starting to spiral, sort of. I can give you a more direct example of, like, here's what it looks like after. Pretty fun, isn't it? Whoop. So the one thing that our beloved Joan, because she's vacationing, she's on the beach somewhere, showing off on the beach somewhere. That's where I think she's actually going. She's not. She's visiting family. But she did point out that I think my tutorial for this didn't include how to put the ends on. So in your kit, you will get a pair of these 6mm cord ends, and all you do is you just put a 2-inch head pin through, create a little like wire wrap loop to give yourself a loop at the top, and then you could just kind of connect it to anything that you want. Or actually, no, I take that back. In the kit, it's easier because you get a domed loop top, and I don't have one sitting out with me, otherwise I would show you guys. But either way, the idea is you just squirt a bit of glue into this, and I would use, I'd probably use a silicone-based glue. So let me grab, do I have any? I think I've got some. It's in the package. So I would just grab some E6000, and then I would just give it a good little, like, not exactly E6000, but something similar. This is like another brand of it. But yeah, you just kind of like give yourself a little bit of a squish into the tube. Probably more than that, because, I love me some secure things. So go ahead and just give yourself a nice little glop, a dollop of it, if you will. And then push it into the cap. Allow it 24 hours to dry, and you've got like a pretty solid little bracelet. How cute is that? Should I do the other side? I might as well do the other side. Since we're all here, I'm going to do the other side. But you guys, 5 demos in I don't know how long we've been here, but it's been a day. Probably should have cut this bracelet down a little bit, but you guys get the idea, right? Oh, Vaughn says, love it. Thank you, Vaughn. Always so supportive. Super cute. And you guys hopefully got that. And I do have the video for this as well as the PDF pattern. So, you know, as far as demos go, you're all covered for this. Aw, very nice design. Thank you. Joan would be so proud that you put a clasp on. I know. I'm saying, like, she's not here to see me in my full glory today. Oh, I have one last thing to talk about. I wanted to talk about something that is special, something that really is amazing for me to collaborate here in my hometown for, and that is, I'm trying to like clear out enough space to where I could show you guys efficiently. My desk is all sorts of ridiculous now. It's these beads. Did you guys know that I live right near a bead factory? Believe it or not. And these beads are made out of brass and they're powder coated. And it is and I was watching a YouTube video on this company. They're called Landella. They're based out of Oklahoma, here in Tulsa. And they're the only company that does powder coated beads. And I had no idea. But they stopped making them in this specific size. And I think they're getting ready to relaunch a different line, but they don't do DIY. They have given me some of their inventory to see if you guys would be interested in any of it. I have it all in the pop-up shop right now, but these are brass through and through, and they're powder coated. So there's no other plating on it. There's no plating. In fact, it's all just powder coated enamel. So it's very safe to wear, very long lasting. But like, look at these cute little things that I made. Sorry, my voice got really high pitched there. I just put together a couple examples because we're all going to have those folks in our lives that don't like a whole lot of, let's say, decorating. You know, some of us are minimalist and just require a little bit of beading or something. And what better way to give than to say, hey, these beads were made in America. These beads were made in Oklahoma by a small factory that SilverSilk paired with. And SilverSilk is also made in Oklahoma. Hey, there's a whole lot of Oklahoma in this. And so I just think it's so stunning to see these. Now, I will say they're a little bit pricey, but it takes, let's see, what was it? I got a whole spreadsheet of it, of like facts about these beads. It's a 30-step process, which also involves taking raw brass rods and using a lathe to cut them into different shapes. So it's all like start to finish, very, very human, hands-on. And then the powder coating is applied, and it's also put in a kiln to bake over the brass. So it is crazy. It is crazy what they do. And then, of course, I got my Danielle Wick seed bead magic on, and I couldn't resist. So I was like, this will make a great bumper for like decorating, because you know this is beaded, but it's not over the top. And then I just use the bumpers to kind of keep it nice and consolidated here at the ends, and of course my SilverSilk findings, which are also brass. But there's a whole lot of magic happening, and I've got a ton of different colors in the pop-up shop right now that you guys must take advantage of because this price might go up later. And I just picked out some colors that represented the winter to me, or you know, celebration of. So there's the blue ones that I was talking about or showing you guys. There's some white ones and even some brass colored ones that are gorgeous. I'm a huge brass nerd and love my brass. Let's see if I could find some. So if you're making it for the guy dude mans in your life, like the matte brass is gorgeous, but they've also got like a chrome finish, a chrome brass. Will you be carrying the bumpers for a while? Yes, Fawn. Those will be in stock. There's plenty of them. What else? There's a sparkling blue. I've just been in a really like denim blue kind of a mood lately. I don't know why. Is that copper I see? Yeah, so behind here it's sort of it's not really copper, it's more of like a coral color. I guess it could be kind of coppery, I guess. Like a pinkish copper. Now don't forget, if you spend 50 or over, you will automatically get a free 3-foot spool of this. So you can have your design ready to be made. Debbie is asking, can I get the wood loom without the kit? And Debbie, I'm sorry, that is just not available. The deal that I struck with the person that I collaborated on the loom with, we had settled on that they're just going to be included in the kits for SilverSilk. So that's so pretty, though. That says every season to me. I could really go nuts with the color combinations. I'm also a sucker for the purple because it's also my brand color, but still, like, look at that. Oh, is that not yummy? It's got a nice texture to it. All right. I don't know what time we're supposed to quit, Danielle, but I think we've went on for quite a while.
I had a question, actually. I might have misspoke. I thought you had used the chain you used. I was trying to find it. On
Which
the demos, the demos you held up a second ago for the, it's white.
Oh, the white one?
Yes. Is that pipe chain or is that your special chain that
Oh,
you're
this
doing?
one's a special leather cord.
Leather cord. Okay, guys, I was wrong. That link above was for pipe chain.
Oh, that's okay. Well, there's, do I have pipe chain in that color?
You have bone. I thought it was bone pipe chain.
No, I don't remember. Now, I will say, actually, speaking of pipe chain, because I didn't get to show these off in real life, it's a good thing you did link that, but this is found in the pop-up shop. Are my two like exclusive colors for this season. I did have a Silky ask me to remake this, and the poor lady, like I teased her for I think months, and then I finally did commit to it. So I made a dark color and a light color of that same tinsel. So forgive me for the lady that knows who I'm talking to. But I did it. I finally did it. I did do it. I committed. I got plenty of it now. Yay! Well, okay. I am officially like tired. Do you guys have any like questions or musings or ideas or excitement that you want to share with me before we kind of part for the day? Because it's been a whole day of TGBE, and I'm sure we all have like the high feeling right now of how great this event has gone today. Ooh, the purple and the gold. Yes. I could just design stuff on the spot. I don't know. As you guys like, if you have any questions, this will buy you a couple minutes. Oh, there's so many combinations that I could make with this. Gold and purple. My table has also ran out of room, sadly. Yes, so this is called Snow, and it is not available on the website. You must, I didn't get, well, basically what happened was I didn't have time quick enough to upload it on the site. So I was like, I'll just give it away as a free gift. Because who doesn't love a free gift? The bumpers are $1.25 or are they $1.50? I can't remember. We get 2 of them. Oh my God, how precious of a necklace would this be? I'm just designing that. I'm not even trying. And it's like, I can make 47 of these in 10 minutes, I bet. And then say that they're US made beads. I can't believe this shop is only like a mile and a half from where I live. That's cute though. Okay, so as I shut down for the day, I just want to say thank you guys tremendously. Like your support, and I'm also trying to move my camera around. Your support is it means the world to TGBE, to me. We're small businesses. I'm basically a one-man store. I found some help. I don't know what's happening with my hair. I found some help over the course of time, but for the most part, I run everything from knitting wire to packaging your orders to making free gifts to um, innovative, decisions for the company, and accounting, as boring as that is. But I have to do all that as part of the business. So I'm everywhere, and I'm straight, and I have a day job because everything's expensive. So I do my things that I need to do for my day job, and then I get to hang with you guys and fill that cup that reminds me of like why and how the purpose of living exists. And it's to share these moments with you guys and do these events and spread some inspiration and joy, laugh with you guys. I'm not serious all the time, as you can figure out at this point. But just thank you for tuning in and humoring me and supporting SilverSilk, because anything spent in it was just money for me to reinvest and think of new crazy ideas. And Danielle and I have got some really fun stuff planned. In fact, we're going to be on tomorrow again. I'm going to be on twice tomorrow, you guys. First is our SilverSilk Sunday, which we're on every 3 o'clock, every Sunday, 3 o'clock Central Time. And after that, I don't have a graphic for it yet, but our gift giving guide, it's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys don't want to miss that. And that's the last show of the TGBE tomorrow for the year. If you're not already, please subscribe to the text list, which is here. All you do is just text hello to that number that's at the bottom, 918-233-6387. It's a great way to keep in touch with me. If you've got a quick question, I can answer it there. And you'll also get notifications for all of these live shows that I do when we're on, and all fun things in SilverSilk. So that's probably the easiest way. You could also email me orders at silversilkonline.com, and I will do my best to get to it efficiently. But Danielle, is there anything that we're missing from the land of SilverSilk or TGBE that you could think of?
No, I think you got it.
Can I put us both on?
Yeah.
Hi. What a fun show this has been, you guys. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I love all of you so, so much. I know many of you are on the notifications already. So thanks for tuning in. And I guess like tomorrow, Candy's going to kind of, cheerlead us on in the morning, get us all pumped up, get our coffees ready. And then following her will be Abs from the Bead Place with her demonstration and sales and all the good stuff. So there's going to be a whole jam-packed day tomorrow. So guys, get some rest, drink some water, hydrate, eat some dinner, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.